Okay, UVTV motherfucker. I'm gonna kick spiritual ass and do this for my people. Oh God. Neon nigga for Featherman, yeah, and today I'm gonna be talking about the religious preacher teacher priest energy. Explain. Now, just in general, right? When we talking about the religious preacher teacher energy when it comes to these different priests and stuff like that, right? And how they look at like Jesus as like a high priest and stuff like that. I'm only talking about it from a religious concept for the most part. And religion is just a real legion. So it's just a legion of people, like a creed or like a cult, a group of individuals who made a spiritual practice and made a real legion out of it. But anybody who starts self projecting that type of energy all the way down to indoctrinating motherfuckers, aka they make you pay attention to their holy sacred texts and books like the Bible or the Quran or some shit like that, or the Torah some shit like that, right? Based upon this religious practice, they just made some type of system, which is really just a government system, and anybody a part of a ministry or a government system just in general and stuff like that, they have a governing mentality. So they have a certain mentality based upon their ancestors of they like to rule over people in some way, shape, or form. Now, I'm not trying to say we can't have order, because without the order there'll be chaos and stuff like that, right? But it's based upon the intentions and the pretenses of why they became priests in the first place, based upon things getting westernized and you know what I'm saying, making some type of spirituality system concept to put people in a certain category to make them a part of a certain system, so people don't have their own way or their own culture or their own space or their own creativity, productivity with them and their with them and those people in that specific geographical location of who made the culture in the first place. And they trying to show a global representation of a mental crutch to be into some type of idol worship or iconography of what they did for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Like this can kind of put you in a perspective to where you start understanding the starting point of how a priest is gonna think in the first place. But for me, breaking down that religious preacher teacher priest energy in the first place, it can make you be in a better perspective of learning how to teach yourself and have your own curriculum behind what you're teaching, and you'll be preaching to the gospel about something without no religious backing, and you can tell the difference between who has that based upon the attention of some type of real legion religious backing and them trying to hold up some type of government official way of how they're trying to rule over people. And you can have more rulership and authorship of your own life because you're going to be able to personalize it and individualize it to make your own sentiment. And anybody who is your people who agree with your system or your scholarship or your institution or you know what I'm saying, like your education of how you like to go about teaching and how you like to go about preaching and stuff like that, they can follow your direction because it's in the same space that that person is also in. AKA look at that as, oh, this culture is relatable to me. Oh, these people are more relatable to me compared to these religious motherfuckers. So people who are just in a real legion who made some creed cult version of what everyone be trying to do in day-to-day life anyway. So I'm gonna make this like mad simple. So just based upon it being religious and stuff like that, and they like to do this when it comes to, even though they have different cultures for this, they just call it by different names. So you could look at that as rabbis if we was talking about some Abrahamic not Abrahamic. We was talking about Arabs and stuff like that in China. You know what I'm saying? They have a different name for it. And in Africa, they have a different name for it, like with ancient Egypt and stuff like that. Even though we're not really talking about that today, I'm just talking about like the energy in itself of the starting point to why someone would even be in that predicament, because it's really like some self-projection type of energy. And the reason I say that is because it's religious, so it's a real legion. So it's mainly gonna, like today we mainly gonna be talking about the Christian version of what that is, and it's based upon uh the Abrahamic God and stuff like that, because it's a Abrahamic religion, and an Abrahamic religion is based upon some monotheism. So it's their one linear path and way of how they look at God, but God is just all possibilities. So they make y'all look at God like a deity instead of looking at it like it's a entity. It's a thing in existence that can, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a thing in existence that could come in a multitude of ways, not just that one linear way and stuff like that. Not some holy sacramony sacrum based upon some religious Christian backing and stuff like that. Because Christianity just in general is just based upon colonization, and then a new version of that would just be based upon capitalism and stuff like that, of trying to put people in a column who want to have a certain spiritual belief system, and they can be the main representation of how it looked like to have a faith or have a belief or have a spiritual system and stuff like that, so they can have a governing mentality based upon them trying to be the walking deities of the representation of what that looked like. And you can look at them as ascended to a higher light by them playing out some preacher type of energy or some gospel type of energy or some Eastern and Orthodox energy or some Roman Catholic energy or some Anglican energy or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like a whole bunch of different denominations. So a lot of these different things, right, to make it like real system, like what I just said, like Eastern Orthodox or Roman Catholic and stuff like that, based upon these different deified versions, idol, like, you know what I'm saying, miniature idol worship versions of different deities, aka different gods, different mentalities that you can soak your psyche into based upon a certain thought, idea, feeling, or emotion, so you could adhere to their Jesuit God or whatever, their Abrahamic God, their monotheism God and stuff like that, right? You need to look at these different denominations as specific ideologies and theologies that are under the umbrella of monotheism and specifically the Abrahamic version of what that is, and look at that as different government systems. Because, like I just said, the priest is like their religious elder, the man who's the minister of some type of religion. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're like a religious government official in a church, which is just their building of worship, but their worship is based upon idol worship. So they want you to turn your space, you know what I'm saying? Your spirit is your space. They want to turn your space ship into a warship. So they want you to fight their battles for their God, but you have to pay attention to their idol worship. So you gonna take your creative, productive abilities and you're gonna turn it into a mind, a mentality, a thought, idea, feeling, emotion, and it's gonna make you motivated in the flesh to fight their battles based upon you trying to have some access to how they look at God. But they look at God more like a deity. They have to deify something, because that D word, just in general, it means you're deifying something. So it's gonna get brought down. It's gonna get condensed. It's gonna be, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be deduced. It's gonna descend. You have to, so from something that is ascended, that y'all look at as like a higher purpose or meaning and reasoning, or, you know what I'm saying, some higher virtue or something like that, right? Or something that's like uplifting and optimistic and stuff like that, right? Above the horizon, you have to bring it down. So it's like depressing something. It's condensing something. It's pressures is I can't say the word. It's pressurizing something. It's descending. It's becoming a higher angel into a fallen angel. It's starting to fall. So you have to make it make sense in the flesh. It's becoming more like man. You know what I'm saying? So based upon y'all looking at it like it's a deity, from y'all looking at it like a deity, and y'all falling for the idol worship, is so you can look at that deity and go into war for that deity instead of trying to make something possible for you. So it's the epitome of giving your power away. Because if they actually was trying to show some godly natures, they would try to put you on game so they can make it possible for you. But they always have to show you a diaphragm based upon some type of system they set up, and you can only look at it in that way, into that system. They don't try to utilize that education or that institution or that scholarship, but also try to make it relative to you. You know what I'm saying? So it's the epitome of, oh, I'm going to try to actually help you or build yourself up in real life and give you advice. And you don't have to necessarily go based upon my scholarship, but I'm going to still try to give you game to make it make sense for your circumstances and stuff like that. And I'm not even going to bribe you with money or some type of, you know what I'm saying? Like it's something you have to like work for, but it don't have to necessarily be some type of monetary gain or some business aspect, or you have to donate to the church or some shit like that. Oh, I'm willing to give you that value, and I'm willing to be of service towards you instead of doing it for the sake of something that's self-serving. So if it's more self-serving, then that shows you the deity energies, and that shows you the idol worship energies and stuff like that. You're just idol work, or it's the same thing like y'all be doing with celebrities and stuff like that. Like you're just idol worshiping their thought idea, feelings, and emotions, and their mentality, but you're giving your power away to them instead of trying to build it for yourself so you could be like them. So just in general, they're trying to make you. That's why the Pope, they'll have like different nicknames like, oh, the Father, or Papa, or we're doing things based upon patriarchy and all that type shit, right? They're trying to be a father of a nation, basically. The same thing, the father of a nation when it comes to uh, the founding fathers of America and things of that nature, based upon colonization. It's the same type of concept. You have to look at those different denominations when it comes to any Abrahamic religion or any denomination. Like, it's just different government officials and different types of government and stuff like that. It's a government mentality. You know what I'm saying? It's a governing mentality. And it's, if in a mentality is based upon something that means a lot to them. So you just have to look at the practice of, you know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be getting lost into the practitioners. No, you have to pay attention to the practice, and like, what are they actually practicing? Like, in reality though, like, what are they actually trying to do in reality though? What's a thing consistently they keep on upholding and stuff like that? And then if you want to go real deep when it comes to that, it seemed like to me they only real focus on playing with little boys and girls booty holes and all that type shit. That's a real bro, that's a real consistent thing when it comes to them. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh, like it started, and then it don't even, man, don't even start hitting me with that, oh, it's just a couple bad apples. Nah, they've been doing that for a couple 100 years, boy. Y'all been doing that for a minute. Nah, that seemed like a real consistent thing y'all can't get over. So it's like, what's the main thing you really practicing and stuff like that? And then you gonna start understanding what the fuck I'm trying to say. But yeah, like, they want to be in that grandfather position, aka the farthest light position, aka look at that, oh, like a father, someone who begets children. So that's masculine energy. You're giving something, you're providing something, you're providing something, you're providing a subject matter, you're providing content, you're providing some type of knowledge or wisdom and stuff like that. You're getting provided a spiritual system, and we're going to have a different class system within that system. So the highest class will be like a high priest and a bishop, and then a clergyman or stuff like that, and we have a ministry, and we're trying to uphold this legion of people to uphold this spiritual practice. But when you actually look behind what's the space they're in, what's the mentality they're in to even do that in the first place, it's just gonna lead to, oh, okay, you just like indoctrinate people into a certain way of thinking so you can give people something to believe in that's not having something to do with their culture just in general. Because a priest is just a male religious leader. You're leading charge of that legion, and they're authorized to perform the sacred rituals of that religion. So look at a ritual like a rite of passage. Look at a rite of passage like a schedule and routine. You know what I'm saying? Everyone got their own ritual, their own schedule and routine. So what's the practice y'all doing that's a part of y'all legion that y'all keep on reforming, that y'all keep on repurposing and stuff like that, like a reformed Protestant or some shit like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then a reformed Protestant and Protestants just in general, they was just protesting against Catholic motherfuckers. So that was just people in Europe, and the way they was running their government at the time, they just try to hide it over the gaze of, oh, okay, it was like some religious church building a worship, auto worship practice or some shit like that. When it's like, no, that, like, during those times there was auto worshiping certain ideas. Look at that as like how the government was being ran at the time. Oh, war, or what it was doing when it comes to kings and queens and monarchies and stuff like that, and killing motherfuckers and all that type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like they was just going against that, but they wanted to practice that on a different land that wasn't theirs type shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, that's really all they doing. And then they're trying to be like, these priests are just the mediator agents between the humans or one or more deities and stuff like that. So look at those different deities as different government officials and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like political leaders. Like the whole thing just in general was like a political ploy based upon how they were trying to run the government. And those different officials were just different deities. They were just different people trying to play God. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? There was in a certain mind frame. That's why they have so many different denominations and stuff like that. Like a Mormon is in one column and stuff like that. Like Latter Day Saints and shit like that. And then you have the what they call that shit? The Evangels or whatever the fuck. I can't even think of it right now. And then you have like the Baptists, and then you got the Protestants, and then you got the I'm missing one, bro. Like there's a whole bunch of them, but like I'm thinking of one off the top of my head. I just can't think of it right now. uh liturgy or some shit like that. Yeah, like liturgyism, some shit like that. Yeah. But yeah, just in general, when you start becoming part of their priesthood, you're just getting the knowledge and wisdom of their politics, of their things that they're educated on, that they wrote down and stuff like that in the Vatican. That's why they have their own city and stuff like that. Somewhere in the Vatican, they got all this stuff written down and stuff like that. Business, religion, entertainment, politics, culture. You know what I'm saying? Like all these different things. They just writing that shit down so they can keep up that certain type of government of the mentality they was in to build themselves up to even do that. And then when it comes to America and things of that nature and what they did to Native Americans and what they did to bring foreigners over here and stuff like that, they're trying to bring a foreigner concept that worked over in Europe and those lands like in Africa and stuff like that so they can take over, and they're just westernizing stuff. So they just bring in their foreigner concepts to here. And the reason I keep on saying this foreign is foreign just in general because it's foreign to this land. We don't like, it's like, is it you going to be thinking like some colonists, some religious motherfucker and stuff like that, some Christian religious out motherfucker, which is just some government general official and stuff like that, upon the same practices based upon the military and stuff like that. And then is either that or you thinking like some spiritual practice based upon some Native American. Is either or. So other than that, is either you foreign or you trying to get with the program of what's the atmosphere and what's going on this motherland of how they built themselves up based upon their culture and stuff like that. So that whole culture in itself, when it comes to like how priests be running shit and things of that nature, and them trying to be the walking cross, the walking stars and stuff like that. Like Native Americans would be like the walking stars because they looked at themselves like stars, and then the cross, like how you be seeing with the cross, like with Jesus and stuff like that, and he got crucified and things of that nature, right? That's just their version of what that is. That's like the European England man version of being like a star. You know what I'm saying? The walking cross. You get what I'm saying? So that's why they always say some shit like, oh yeah, Jesus is the way. Oh yeah, some Jesuit is the way and stuff like that. Oh, Jesus was like the high priest. Oh, he performed these miracles of life and stuff like that. Oh, he had 12 disciples. He like some Maseroth type of shit of the sun going through the 12 houses, because Jesus represents the white man in a robe with the sun behind him and stuff like that. And he was the holy man, the holy, holy, holy man and stuff like that. So from the sun being behind him, that represents a celestial body, the sun. And then the sun is going to have different transitions, just like the moon phases and stuff like that, in different sun pockets that transitions to the different seasons and stuff like that, that hit different time zones and geographical locations and shit like that. So from them trying to be like the atmosphere and trying to be walking stars, walking crosses and stuff like that, right? Those willing to like, so like the minute they start saying rhetoric like, oh yeah, Jesus died for your sins for you to be here and stuff like that, right? They're just saying, oh, we died to hold up this idea, this ideal and this ideology and this theology to make it so we can take over this land. So you better be proud that we did all this heinous shit so y'all can even be here in America. And then, you know what I'm saying? And then this whole shit could be a gold mine, but the whole thing just in general was done by force. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, they just trying to be the walking stars, the walking representations in their degenerate mind of what it means to be, like, you know what I'm saying, for what it means to be a celestial body. They're just trying to create their own atmosphere, but they're doing it in like the most lost into the flesh type way and stuff like that. Because just in general, that whole religion, just in general, especially when it comes to Christianity, is based upon a whole like mixed bag of a whole bunch of different spiritual practices that they learn from the different travels and adventures of exploring the world and writing these things down, stuff like that, and going on boats and things of that nature, and trying to condense it into one universal, unified way of how to look at the world and stuff like that. That's why they'll have that symbolism when it comes to Masonic shit and military shit and everyday life and stuff like that. Oh, church, Jesus is the way and stuff like that. The cross and stuff like that with the sun beaming behind it and stuff like that. Yeah, they're trying to be walking, you know what I'm saying? The walking T-pose, the walking cross, the walking stars of what that means to them. Like, that's like the European version of how they feel like they being stars, but they ain't really being star players and stuff like that, because you have to do it by being lost into the flesh. It's not based upon no spiritual backing for real. You get what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So based upon their elders, and they trying to be looked at like the grandfather, and then it transition into the father, and then transition into the son. They just want y'all to be the walking sons of their atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? Of the grandfather, farthest light, father sky and stuff like that. So y'all can ascend into their heaven. You know what I'm saying? You can ascend into their atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? Their sphere at most. their world at most. You can ascend into their world, even though you're not ascending, you're really descending because you're getting lost into the flesh based upon the things that they did to even make that be what it is. So just in general, right? The religious preacher, teacher, priest energy, just in general, is everything I'm just saying in a nutshell. Like it's really just that. It's really just that for real. So take what I just said, right? Of them trying to make their own atmosphere and trying to be with the skies and stuff like that. So look at that as how they look at God and how they look at heaven and stuff like that, right? So you need to put yourself in your own space so you can create and be productive of trying to make up your own ideology, theology, thought, and idea of how to go about it, but also make it relatable to everyday life, whether it's high class or low class. So you end up doing, you know what I'm saying? God end up going through you for real. All possibilities. You try to make it possible in your relative way because you know what I'm saying? That real truth is what something like that real truth is always going to have a line there just in general because like you always going to be lying in something, lying in a certain thought, lying in a certain mentality and stuff like that. You're always going to have your subjective point of view, but your subjective point of view makes the objective point of view. And that's really what we all doing just in general. When it comes to mankind, just in general, we're trying to be one of a kind. So we're going to do things in our most individualized, personalized, individual way, our one of a kind type of way. So we can add on to make the world be the world is and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, it's like bringing God back to earth. I mean, yeah, like bringing God back to earth or like heaven back down to earth in so much different form. So we can make that blissful for everybody just in their own way without being degenerate, without putting our trash on other people's lawn because of this, down the third. Now, there's always going to be crazy folks just in general, but just you doing that on a higher percentage scale. So I'm not even trying to say, oh, you need to make your own religion because a lot of the time that's something that title, like that religion title, that's something they be self-projecting on other people. They'll be like, oh, okay, they worship this thing. So like from them worshiping this thing, oh, it's like I don't worship and shit like that. Oh, so this is just another reformed, revitalized, repurposed version of like a legion of people because of this, that, and the third. No, it's just some culture behind it. It's just a spiritual practice. Oh, we all in this same space and we all trying to make this same thing. It's like a music artist who's trying to make a creative product, product or a creative project or some shit like that, like an enterprise or a business and stuff like that. So like that's like them making that's like that's like a company that makes cereal like Frosted Flakes or some shit like that or Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and they like oh yeah, we need to make the best product, we need to make the best cereal, and then our cereals is Frosted Flakes and Cinnamon Toast Crunch. So let's make a whole bunch of different variants, or let's work on the manufacturing so we can make the best product, and let's get this commercial so it can get advertised and marketed and promoted a certain way to where we can end up having the best product type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like in their mind, they think of it more in that context, just in general. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you have to think about it just like that, just in general. So it's just a legion of people being creative and they produce something. So that's like a music collective or some shit like that. Oh, we're all collectively in the same space when it comes to our creativity and our productivity, and we all interchangeable. We all got the same producers, we all got the same engineers and stuff like that, and it's making this fruitful energy so we can be real consistent when it comes to this collective, and we all got our own individual projects and group projects and stuff like that, and we all working together to make this bigger. You know what I'm saying? We trying to make it so we can get some type of business or monetary gain or make some type of labeling or intellectual property of how we like to create things for the most part. So you have to look at it more like that. So just in general, right? So just in general, when it comes to the religious preacher, teacher, priest energy and stuff like that, when it comes to these different religions, that's what these preachers and teachers are doing. They just know how to be they just know how to have their own personality and their own individuality and their own charisma to make people look at them in a way of how to get attention, and they find that attractive. They like that quality of them being creative of how they're preaching, of how they're teaching. It's not about the what for the most part. It's how you doing it, and the how just in a nutshell is what makes people gravitated towards that. It what pulls them in. It's the thing that's attracting them to even give a fuck about what the fuck they talking about, because they all saying the same pretense. Oh yeah, we're gonna read this Bible. Oh, we're gonna read Psalms chapter 7 or some shit like that, or the Hebrews or some shit like that. But it's how they're doing it. It's how they doing it. That's why T.D. Jakes or like Joel Osteen in the same position. He's the one who's bringing people to that church, even though they own the building and all that type shit, and it's millions of dollars and stuff like that. He's bringing these motherfuckers in the building to even want to keep upholding and paying for that level of enterprise and stuff like that to make all the different theatrics and all that type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that Drewski skit. And I know y'all know what the fuck I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like that Drewski skit when like those super theatrical preachers and stuff like that, and they start dwelling into modern day topics, but also have to say it through the lens of some religious context and stuff like that, right? And lead it back to them giving their sachem, like a Native American or some shit like that, of the ceremony, so motherfuckers can keep being captivated by how they preach, about how they teach, about how they choose to be a priest and stuff like that, about how they perform the ceremony and the ritual and stuff like that. So it's the same way how you look at a celebrity or a musician and stuff like that, of you go see them at their concert, and that concert is the ceremony, and you're going to see them put on a performance of their music. Their music is basically what they're preaching and teaching based upon their lyrics and those different verses, and they have a production and they have choreography and all that. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. It's just I'm trying to make it more relative so that like the whole thing makes sense just in general. Like that's just the energy just in general, but I'm trying to show y'all how y'all can create it in your own way so you don't have to rely on the religious version of how they look like. So it's still them practicing magic and stuff like that, because all musicians are just magicians. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to take something that's from the mind, the psyche, that you can't see based upon the conscious realm, the physical realm, and they go into their subconscious realm, their psyche, a thought, idea, feeling, emotion, a dream or a vision, their imagination. They turn it into some creativity, some goal based upon the space that they're in. You know what I'm saying? And they try to put you in their world, in their atmosphere, in their space, and they make it materialize. They'll manifest and materialize. Manifesting is just manifesting men and women, masculine and feminine energies. I thought, I did, feeling, emotion. And then making that a reality. They make it real. So whatever thing that was real to them, or in whatever dream and vision they got, they're actually trying to be the walking practitioner, star player example of what it means to do that. And it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to take you out the context of trying to look at it in a religious preacher, teacher, priest energy type way. But it's still that though. It's still that. But it's going to go more in their favor, especially if they independent artists and stuff like that. So I'm trying to give y'all power back to show y'all that's how y'all can be that. That's how I can come up and be in that preacher, teacher, priest type energy and stuff like that. That's what I'm doing. All I'm doing is showing my subjective point of view in a one-of-a-kind, individualized, personalized way based upon my charisma and my personality, right? And I'm basically doing actual magic. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing based upon my observations of how I look at shit though. You know what I'm saying? Based upon my attention span and my comprehension and me doing it for however long each video end up being. And I end up being a walking star, a walking celestial body. I do it in the lightest shape and form. And I don't make it too dense. I don't get too caught up in the physical conscious realm version of how to do that. That's why I be talking about a lot of spiritual, metaphysical type shit and stuff like that. I'm taking it from the space that I'm in, you know what I'm saying, based upon my soul, my individual spirit, my individual space, and I try to make it relative to the overall space, spirituality just in general, right? So the overall God, so just all possibilities and the space outside my space, and we all got space between you and I type shit. So I'm trying to make it relative, high class to low class. So it don't matter if you got $1 million and you a billionaire and you a crackhead, you can understand what the fuck I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying? That's actually working through God for real. That's actually being a star player and all that type shit. You know what I'm saying? That's actually trying to make your own world and have your own sphere of reality of how to look at things, but also make it relative to reality though. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter who I'm talking to. You can kind of understand what the fuck I'm trying to say based upon my knowledge and wisdom. You know what I'm saying? You can get some teaching out of that. You can get some preacher energy out of that. And then I can go into the deep details based upon my curriculum, aka my mind frame of, you know what I'm saying? Like, of the deep nuance and subject matter of my content, of me being a content creator and all that type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. That's all for real.